Hi guys, my name is Allyse, and today we're gonna talk about Kayangel, that is a new Abyss dungeon in the continent called Elgasia. Kayangel consists of 4 gates with normal and hard difficulties. The hard difficulty has a chance to drop the Black Wings or Red Wings mount. The mounts are extremely rare even in the Korean server. Please check the previous video for the first 2 gates. The first boss is a humanoid and is weak to dark damage. Recommended battle items are Sacred Charm or Panacea. At least one reliable cleanse is required to clear this raid. Just like Garl, the boss doesn't have a normal stagger interaction. When she takes a certain amount of stagger damage, she cancels whatever normal pattern she was doing and TPs to the center. Just to make sure, you need to understand this mech. This concept applies to pretty much the whole encounter. Once she TPs to center, she summons 3 elemental shapes around her that shoot a corresponding color projectile. The easiest way to remember the elemental weakness is to think of any game with element power. Red fire greater than green grass. Fire is effective against grass but weak to water. Blue ice greater than red fire. Water is effective against fire but weak to grass. Green grass greater than blue ice. Grass is effective against water but weak to fire. The orbs will blow up when they receive the effective projectile. So, this mech just solves itself even if you don't do anything. However, they won't blow up if you happen to body block the projectile. In this case, you'll need to break them on your own or move away to dodge a huge explosion afterwards. The explosion damage is big when you're on item level, and this pattern can be crucial if it overlaps with other mechs, so just be mindful. The first mech is at 62 lines. The boss gains heavy DR and summons 3 color orbs in a Y shape. Also, you must purify yourself or other party members if they have the elemental debuff applied before the mech. 3 people need to stand on this position and keep rotating counterclockwise until she stops shooting the projectiles. You must not use Purify or Cleanse skill when you have the debuff. You need the debuff to neutralize the one-shot attack that happens in every even turn. Once she's done shooting projectiles, she's going to pulse a color, or shape for colorblind people under her feet. You need to break the orb that's super effective to the color she showed you earlier. If she pulses red, you break blue. Make sure to be close to the orb and not break it too early. It gives a debuff to nearby people that protects you from the wipe attack. Breaking the orb too fast can cause the debuff to run out of time. The second mech happens at 42 lines. She TP to the middle and gains heavy DR. Then she summons 3 counterable mobs in a triangle shape. The mob initially faces outwards, but it will face the nearest person as it becomes counterable. A successful counter will reset your whole cooldown. You can stagger the boss once you land every counter successfully. The mobs will not go away and keep casting counters until you land a counter on them. The 4th person can be a flex in case anyone makes a mistake. In hard mode, the second mechanic spawns one more counterable minion nearby shortly afterwards. They spawn regardless of whether you land the first counter or not, so the 4th player needs to be ready to pick up counters in case of missed counters. The last mech happens at about 20 lines ish. She makes 2 color rings. You need to break all the orbs that's super effective to the corresponding ring color. For example, you need to break all the blue orbs in the red ring. Failing any orb or any ring will make a huge explosion that does map-wide damage and heal the boss HP. She'll repeat the mech again once she reaches the HP line, and she'll cause a raid wipe on the 3rd fail. In hard mode, the 3rd mechanic always has 3 rings instead of 2 rings. Packs in Korea usually assign 2 people for the 2 inner rings and 1 person for each half of the outer ring, since the outer ring is much bigger. This boss has 3 normal patterns that's hard to figure out at first glance. First pattern is a spacebar QTE. You need to spam spacebar but do not finish it until the boss makes a black pulse. Second pattern is finding the real boss pattern. The boss disappears and makes 5 clones with clouds underneath them. Only one of them has an electric effect on it. You need to go below this clone for the safe spot. Third pattern is TP into inside safe pattern. The boss disappears and TPs to a random location. Then does an inside safe channeling. She can TP to any random location on the map, so you need to look at the minimap. You'll take huge damage if you step outside. The last boss is also humanoid and weak to dark damage. Recommended battle items are Time Stop Potion with at least 2 people on Flame Grenade and the rest on Dark Grenade. As a side note, this boss has only one counter pattern and is extremely rare. The penalty is not as bad as well, even if you miss it, so take advantage if applicable. The last boss is a mech heavy encounter. Before we jump into it, there's one unique mechanic you need to know for this encounter. Sometimes he stares at one random player, usually the closest person. He pulls up a mirror shield after he TPs to the aggro person. He takes no damage when you attack him in front of the mirror. Also, the mirror sets your HP to 1 if you get too close to it. This mechanic enhances after 180 lines. The first mech happens at 180 lines. The boss flies away and drops a series of explosions. First explosion is under your feet. Second explosion is usually center-ish safe. Third explosion is under your feet again but 2 lines. Then he TP'd to one player, proceeding to do the mirror shield mechanic. But this time, you'll get stuck into the mirror in a couple seconds after you receive a strong gaze debuff. You need to use a paralysis immunity spell while you're moving. He stops tracking after the glass breaking sound effect. Then he fires a laser shortly afterwards.
라우리엘의 힘이 강해지고 있어. 저 결정체에서 뭔가가 느껴져. 결정체가 빛을 흡수하고 있어.
From 180 lines, he becomes pretty much invulnerable to normal attacks. You need to bait the boss attacks to the white eggs he spawned outside of maps. You need to be close before you pop them to receive the buff. The buff lasts for 2 minutes and the egg has a respawn time of 2 minutes. You can do damage only when you have the buff. You need to bait the boss to attack the eggs if none of them are glowing yellow. Second mech is at 135 lines. Boss TPs to center and you can use only normal attack and spacebar. You need to assign one person to receive a yellow laser from the boss. The first person needs to face somewhere that the next person can catch the laser. Then the next person needs to catch the laser from the first person and face somewhere for the next person. Think of your character as a mirror and you reflecting the laser to one another. You cannot step onto the portal or be too close to the people who got the lasers. The third person needs to do the exact same process as the second person. The fourth person will catch the final laser and shoot it towards the boss. Skipping one person will not be enough for the stagger check. Bugs in Korea usually go by party number and adjust position accordingly based on pings and the minimap. In hard mode, the second mechanic spawns a bunch of random imprisoning bottles all over the place, so players need to aim the laser accordingly. The third mech is at 100 lines. Everyone needs to stack on the very center tile for the inside safe attack. Then he lights 2 random runes on the floor. You need to watch closely and remember their clock position. These glowing runes means there will be a safe spot later. For example, glowing rune on 11 and 6 means you need to be on 11 first, then 6 for the safe spot. Once the safe spots are determined, you need to spread X 3+1 position and collect white orbs. Just similar to Vika's Gate 2, all the orbs will look the same. You can see their true color at the beginning of the mech, or you can see them for a few seconds after you collect a real one. You need to collect a total of 5 white orbs. Collecting a black orb will decrease 1 stack and put you in a stun. There will be a huge shadow on the location he showed you with the runes earlier. You need to stand on it to dodge the 2 sunlight attacks. In hard mode, the third mechanic has additional ring explosions throughout the orb collecting phase. Time stop potion is highly recommended if you get knocked down by the red explosion and cannot make it to the safe spot in time. The fourth mech is at 60 lines. Similar to Sword and Statue mech in Vicus, people see things differently and you need to inform them where they need to stagger. You need to ping every red pillar with runes engraved on it. But be careful and don't ping plain red pillars. When they ping a boss clone, you need to get closer to it to begin the stagger check and succeed. If you fail the stagger check or activate fake clones by accident, you'll get imprisoned and die at the end of the mech. You can't use battle items during this mech, so whirlwind grenades have no use. You need roughly 58 stagger value, which is not bad at all, but you don't have a whole lot of time once you activate the stagger check, so you might wanna prep it like the video shown. The boss faces right away with a cutscene after the 60 lines mech. From this point on, once in a while, he gains a stacking attack buff and you gain a stacking debuff, causing you to take additional damage. Every few patterns, he does the mirror shell pattern from center as he also doing the shadow mech, so you need to be on the safe spot while you're trying to not get pulled in. The safest bet is just using a time stop until you get comfortable with not getting pulled in. It's almost guaranteed death if you get stuck in even a little during this mechanic. He doesn't do any other mechanic from now on. You just need to DPS him down until he dies. There's 2 annoying and notable patterns that's hard to figure out at first glance. First one is the homing Scythes pattern. He throws 4 Scythes out that track you on every curve they make. You lose control if you get hit by them even once. You'll get pulled to the boss if you were the target of the cone attack or the aggro person aimed this at you. Every imprisoned person will make a huge explosion under their feet that does a decent chunk of damage. Support needs to take care of them if they're on low HP or there will be overlapping explosions. Second one is another imprison attack. He spawns a bunch of projectiles outside to inside. They track you once they get close enough, then starts traveling when they stop tracking. You get imprisoned even if you get hit by them only once. Getting hit multiple times will make the imprisoning even thicker. This pattern can be a free DPS window if you want to invest at least 1 or more flame grenades, since the boss doesn't do anything else but just stand still during this pattern. You can use flame grenades and place multi-hit spells before the imprison begins. It should free you in a couple seconds. As a support, make sure to put shields and DR like Rhapsody or Gods and Law, because the imprison debuff actually hurts when you have multiple stacks. Thanks for watching, check the video in the description and go to Lost Boy stream or leave a comment if you have any questions. My name is Allyse and you can follow me on Twitch as well. Bye guys!